This is the Gauntlets Open Gaming Community. I'm Dan. We're playing a game of my own design called World of Gamma. I just went over cats and safety tools with the players, and now I'm going to ask them just a couple questions just to get us going. Horst, you joined at the very last minute, and I really appreciate it. Was there anything in particular that drew you to this game or this session, or was it just that that I put the call out there?
To be honest, I wanted to be a good community member and not, have a spot open. But I'm also into weird, crazy, cartoonish science fiction. So it was win-win, I think.
Yes, having played, what was that other game that we played? What was it called? Other game
we played Ultraviolet Grasslands.
Yeah, exactly. Cartoonish. There may be less drugs in this one, but not necessarily. So I don't know. Cool. Philip, you signed up almost right away. Was there something in particular that drew you to this game?
I'm always kind of a fan of the early TSR type games, the Gamma Worlds, the Boot Hills. I find them evocative. I think they're neat. So that might as well just get started with Gauntlet Con and just jump on the first slot, right?
Nice. Yeah, I think it was clearly uncharted territory in the 70s and 80s when they were putting this stuff out. So they were just like, whatever, we'll just do whatever we want. And it shows, right? It shows the games are not perfect. But yeah, this was definitely a nostalgia play for me. And Will, what do you think? What drew you to this session?
All of this stuff is way before my time, so I'm but fascinated by the weird gonzo kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The closest I get to playing any of that is EVG. So I'm looking forward to more. And I played the hell out of Mutant Year Zero video game that came out last year. Right. And I was like, oh, perfect. But this will be more gonzo than that kind of very bleak one.
Yeah, I picked up that game and I was like, this is not scratching the itch for me. Like, I get it. I see what they're trying to do here, but it's just not quite scratching the itch for me. I picked up the role-playing game, not the video game.
Oh, yeah. I never played the role-playing game.
And Will, is there anything in particular you want to accomplish in this session here? Anything you want to kind of push on or test out or play or anything you want to explore?
I don't know particularly. I mean, that kind of weird, like that 70s, 80s gonzo kind of like dungeon delving and weird shit happening all over the place. And I like the idea of it, being in those shifted versions of the real world. Yeah. Even though if you're very subtle about things like it being Pittsburgh, then I imagine me and Horst are going to be like, what the fuck you want about? Because we will not make those connections.
I think, yeah, and I don't know Pittsburgh all that well. I feel like we could sort of make it a mishmash of like, if you want to introduce an in-joke that none of the rest of us will get, I'm totally okay.
I'm just saying if we were to go with like, the cinematic American cities, we might have more of a chance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Philip, what do you want to get out of today's session?
I just want to see what's going on. New systems are always interesting, so let's just play around and have some fun.
That sounds great. And Horst, anything in particular?
I like the exploration aspect of Gamma World. I will also, I think I will switch off my camera because I have a slight lag. If that's okay.
I can still picture your beautiful face. So. Cool. Well, let us dive in to character creation. I see all three of you are in the character keeper. Do all of you have a copy of the rules, a PDF of the rules? It's in that Google Drive. And if anyone needs them, I can post that link again. So we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. Feel free to drop in your player name. If you have an idea for a character name, drop that in. And the first choice to make is the species type. So that is in row 6 of the spreadsheet. The idea here is like, you're not like, if you pick a squirrel or a rodent or something, you're not a squirrel. You're more like a humanoid with some squirrel-like tendencies. So when I did test out role-playing these or rolling up characters with my kids, and they sort of imagine themselves more as the animal that happens to be able to talk. And so that, I think, is a little much too in the root role-playing game thing. And what I want is more humanoids with animal characteristics. At least that's what I was picturing. So, don't feel like if you pick something, you have to be like a porcupine. You have to do everything the porcupine does. You may have only inherited a few of those characteristics down the road. Those species types will determine a few of the tags that you have. So the tags are a little further down the character sheet, and those describe kind of different aspects of your character. You can invoke those tags to get bonuses on rolls. So once you pick a species type, so for example, Horst, you picked fungus, and that means you can pick, for one of your features, you can pick either resistance or toxin. So you have picked toxin, that's awesome. Will, you've not picked a species type yet, though I think opossum is...
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with rodent.
Rodent, yes.
Yeah, and I will pick speed.
Nice. I guess possum is technically a marsupial, but we will move on.
You don't have a marsupial option. So.
No, it's true. It's true.
Closest one I can get is rodent.
My kids are very particular about that sort of thing. So, Philip, you chose a reptile. That's awesome. Reptile will give you either armor or bioweapon as your feature.
I guess bioweapon.
Yeah. So you should think about like, what exactly is that?
I'm thinking just claws.
Sweet. So while we're on tags, why don't we finish picking those out? You can pick another feature. It doesn't have to be from the ancestor species. It can be anything you want, right? We are hundreds of years in the future. There's a melting pot of genetic material. So it really could be any of these other features. And I will give you a moment to think about that.
I think I might go with heightened. No, you know what? Camouflage. I'm going to go with camouflage. Or no, heightened sense. Heightened sense. There we go. There's too many choices when it comes to what sort of strange mutant do I want to be.
So, Will, you are a possum-like humanoid.
Yes.
Speed and a heightened sense.
Yes, I think I'm fairly close to the the possum people phenotype.
Sure. And Horst has chosen a fungus that can fly.
Obviously, Gondolfia mushroom, I think the species is called.
Mm.
That is so good. I can't wait to see what happens with that. So demeanor is sort of the closest thing we'll get to picking kind of a personality type or outlook or attitude. And my hope is that it kind of gives you a hook on how to play your character a bit. So why don't you take a look at those and see which one jumps out at you.
I didn't get the last part. So what are we looking at now?
Demeanor is sort of your personality type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're so it's line 19 on the spreadsheet.
Okay, 19.
I love this trio: naive, curious, and cautious. Perfect for exploring. It's great. And then line 20 on the spreadsheet is the last tag that you'll get to choose, and that's kind of any trained skill that you might have.
Just trying to resist that urge to be like, what will be most useful versus what might be most fun, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good. Vehicles is great. I had sort of imagined us trying to do a car chase, so that'll be perfect. I love my flying, poisonous, naive, but trained in medicine fungus. That's fantastic. And research, nice. I don't know what that means, but I wrote it, so that's fine. Cool. So this hopefully gives you kind of a good sense of your characters. There's, let's make one more choice before we do attribute scores. Line 14 on the character keeper is mental power. So one of my favorite parts of the old Gamma world is that more or less everyone had psionic powers, mental powers. So the way that's interpreted here is everyone gets one that they can use. You can basically use it at any time to describe kind of what happens. And I'll, as the GM, say whether I think that you need to sort of take some damage or take a hit based on the effect that you're going for.
And a pyrokinetic possum.
That's great. With these old games in the 80s, it could take like a long time to roll up a character. Sometimes, I mean, for me, I didn't have a lot of people I could play with as a kid, but I made so many Gamma World characters because they all told a little story themselves. So. Horst, I'm so glad you joined this game.
Me too.
This is great. Okay. And so let's come back up and fill in some of the details, some of the other kind of descriptive elements. So the game itself doesn't have any built-in factions, but that was kind of a big part of the Gamma world of the 80s. So line 7 and 8 here in the character keeper is a faction. This is a group that you belong to, an enclave, a kind of secret society, anything like that. I'm happy for you to completely make these up. So they're completely up to you. They will have no impact on the game other than perhaps add some narrative element to it.
Horst, I can't believe you named your character Drizzt from the mush, the myconoid Drizzt, named after his hero, the Dark Elf. Yeah.
He found a book among the ruins, and he was like, "This is a good name. I like this."
Yeah, and he gets along with mushroom people. So, can we say like a city or region that it's in, just so that I can rip off the name slightly with a sort of Mad Maxy, semantic?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Will, do you have any preferences?
I mean, I pick your LA, Washington, DC, New York, whatever. You know what I mean? Chicago, like Pittsburgh is. I only know that it gets blown up in a Marvel comic. That's about it, really.
Sometimes in real life too. I'm from New York and I live in DC, but so I will ask which.
I'll go with DC just because it's got more open space, whereas New York, I think, is quite
pretty cramped in. Sure.
Yeah. I would think post-apocalyptic New York is hard to have a car chase in, for example.
Yes. Well, yes. Depends on if there's still a lot of traffic, I think. Philip the bureaucrats. That is fantastic.
Technology is not fully modern unless there are forms and a process.
Right. We're leaning into maybe paranoia a little bit too. I like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I outright stole from the old Gamma world is this idea of a tech level. And the apocalypse has sort of created this uneven distribution of technology. So some groups live in sort of very primitive, not very well, technically advanced areas. That's tech level 1, and others live with technology that's even beyond where we are today. I'd imagine our current level of technology is tech level 4. So where we are in 2020, such as it is tech level 4. So tech level 5 is, kind of even beyond that. So we should just decide as a group what tech level all of us our group is at. I don't specify in the rules whether it's got to be one or the other, but I'm happy to start at tech level 3 or 4. This has an impact where if you find technology at a higher tech level, it's harder for you to figure out what it does, right? So a big part of I'm going to be exploring some ruins and I might find a piece of technology and either I completely understand it because it's within my tech level or it is well above my tech level. And I need to spend more effort to try and figure out what it does. So that's the mechanical impact on the game. So any objection to starting at tech level 4, just sort of the modern age that you all are familiar with, kind of current 21st century technology? Does that sound all right?
Yeah. So can I take a lower level and gain an extra skill?
Yes, you may well. So one of the rules is you can say that you individually are at a lower level and earn another skill. So
mainly because I see combustion engines at tech level 3 and I'm like, that's all I need. It's fine.
Yeah. So I imagine tech level 2 or tech level 3 is kind of early 20th century. So you can drive, any gas powered car that you can find. But if you find like a flying car, you'll have to try and figure out how that works.
Yeah, I also wanted to try and figure out how it works rule.
Yes, that sounds great. So anyone else want to go to a lower tech level?
I think it makes sense for a flying shroom to be not technologically advanced.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go all the way down to 1. Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, in your rules, you do say one tech level lower rather than 4 tech levels lower.
Yeah, so I think, if you want to be 1, we can try that. I think just take 1 skill, 1 extra skill though.
There was not like power gaming or anything. It just it seemed to make sense.
Yeah. Is there another skill that you would like to take?
Let's have a look. Skills. Is that on a tag?
Yes, those are all under tags.
Nature makes sense. Or maybe surgery, I don't know. Entertainment. Entertainment.
I'd be excited to see what surgery for a tech level 1 person. All right, cool. Well, we have a lot of the kind of bones of your characters here. This is great. let's do attribute scores. So this works a little bit, the rolling will work a little bit like if you're familiar with Hearts of Wulin or Brindlewood Bay. The idea here is that when you make a roll, you sort of decide how you're approaching it with awareness or cunning or passion or patience. So I think, I'm trying to remember what the array is. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 possible arrays. You can do a 2, a 1, a 0, and a -1. You can do 3 1s and a 0, or 2 2s and 2 -1s. So those are all on the character sheet, and I will paste that, if I can do that, into the chat window. So you should distribute those among your attribute scores.
Those.
Nice. I was actually talking to my older son about this for a slightly different game. For a different game I was working on with a similar mechanic. And he made the really good point. He was like, this is not so much that you're not an aware person if your awareness is low, for example. It's just that you don't know how to harness that in a productive way. And I thought that was really insightful way of putting it. So horse, you don't have to go all the way down to -2 on your awareness and cunning. You can just do the array is 2 2s and 2 -1.
Oh, I see.
Okay, cool. And let's see, what do we have left to do? Besides gear, I think we're pretty close. So I'll give you a moment if you want to, in line 9, write a description. This is meant to be kind of a physical description, but you can write whatever you want in here, as far as I'm concerned, of your character. If you want to spend a moment looking for an image, it looks like a couple of you maybe relied on the images that I had provided just by way of example, but if you want to use a different image, feel free to drop that in. I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
Yeah, I felt like, dual wielding monkey and a possum with a machine gun. I was never going to top that with my creations. So
those are actually from another post-apocalyptic game called After the Bomb, which was based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles role-playing game. I spent a lot of time looking at those books when I was a kid.
what's that place in DC called with all of the, like the square with all of the spurs going off it? Kind of like
a lot of those traffic circles. There's a DuPont circle. That's kind
DuPont.
of
DuPont. That was it. Yeah. That's the big one, isn't it? Really? Like
that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the intersection of 2 main avenues. So
yeah.
I have not been down there. It's probably been a year since I've been to downtown DC. Philip, can I ask where in America you were based? I assume you're in America.
I'll just do Washington DC too. Yeah, the bureaucrats are based out of the former Pentagon building, I'm sure.
I meant you as a person.
Oh, me as a person. Okay. I'm based out of Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Okay.
Yep.
I used to, when I visited DC for the first time, I stayed in Narragansett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's lovely. I still miss the clam cakes. Oh.
Okay, so I was going to move on. Oh yeah, Horst, I appreciate the fungus that you found. Unless you all want a little bit more time. You all good?
Yeah.
All right. So last thing to do is pick some gear, mostly weapons here. So you can pick one weapon and one armor at your tech level. So, for example, Will, who's playing someone at tech level 3, can pick from the automatic pistol in the ranged weapons. I don't have anything at tech level 3 in melee weapons, but you can pick anything below that. So the longsword or the dagger. Pick one weapon for now and one armor.
Can I call it a submachine gun just to
Oh yeah, sure.
just to fit with the image?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have like a list for tech level 1 weapons / armor?
So on the second page of the PDF, the gear is in the lower right. There's not a lot, but I can also paste that.
There are no tech level 1 armors.
There's heavy skins. I don't know why I put that out of order, but there's heavy skins. So,
Where are you guys seeing this?
Second page of the PDF.
Second page of the PDF, but I did just cut and paste it as an image into the resources tab of our character keeper.
Ah, okay.
So you can see it there.
Longsword.
Pretty excited to see what our shroom is carrying.
Definitely heavy skins. Do you think it makes sense to maybe have like a blow gun or whatever it's called, like a?
Oh, yeah, blowgun is perfect for tech level 1. That's a great idea.
The mushroom person who breathes has lungs and everything. I know he's a mutated human being into a mushroom aspect rather than a D&D myconoid, but still, yeah. Or maybe like what he blows out is just his own spores. You know, like they're not poison darts, they're just darts, but the act of him blowing it out makes it poisonous.
Yep. Nice. Does Quinn have pronouns that I should use, that we should use to refer to them?
Not really. He pretty much answers to anything.
Any / all.
Yeah.
Friends, I believe we are largely done with our character creation. So I thought maybe we'll do quick intros of these characters, and I can go over rules a little bit. I just kind of want to highlight the core mechanic of the game, and then we can take a quick break and then kind of dive in to our story. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, Horst, you're first here. Can you do an intro to Drizzt?
Well, Drizzt is, I guess, a man-sized, glowing, and also floating mushroom.
Perfect.
He wears the skins of animals, as an armor and has a blowgun. Drizzt is trained in treating all kinds of ailments. Let me see. I haven't really. He's a bit naive, but indefinitely patient. I don't know what the entertainment aspect is, to be honest. He won't be juggling things. I'm not sure. Does he have arms? He probably has arms.
Yeah. Is he a good storyteller?
Yeah. I think he a bit long-winded. I'm not sure if he's a good storyteller, but if you give him the time, he will. What's it called? He will tell a tall tale.
Got it. That's perfect. Where did he learn his medicinal skills?
I'll say it again. My internet connection just dropped. What kind of medicinal skills?
I asked, where did he learn that?
Oh, where did he learn them? So he grew up in some kind of a tribe with other mushroom people, and I think he learned it from his Aunt Doris.
And let me see. I have another question for you. So the Order of the Mother Shroom, that's the faction. That's his faction. Is that this enclave of mushrooms, or is this kind of a separate secret society that he belongs to?
I think it is a secret society of molds, slimes, and mushrooms. There's not only mushrooms part of this, and the goal is to form like a coherent, sentient colony.
Wow. Okay. So it may be from fungus type creatures all over the place, not just in his enclave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what is the intent of this sentient enclave? Is it to sort of take over the world? Is it to try and make the world a better place?
I think it's what is the word? Fungus people and slimes and molds, our goal is to drag everyone down to level 1, to tech level 1. So I need to find the words for it, but
is it like primitivist?
Yeah,
to be like primitive.
Yeah, I think ludivists, is that a word?
Yeah,
yeah. So we have a certain distrust of technology, and by what's the word when you what does mushrooms do on I don't know, like leaves or something? They
Spore?
Spawn?
Not
spore.
So like to
they colonize.
Yeah, we colonize, we do that, but to turn organic material into smaller components.
Decompose,
that's the word. But we do that with technology as well.
That's amazing.
You like compost things?
Yes. I'm actually like the sub order is the decomposers, and I'm one of the agents of the decomposers.
Please tell me you're musicians as well.
We do compose, but we also decompose.
Horse, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Will, you are next on my list. Can you introduce us to Jax? Can I get that right?
The remaining is silent. You just say the first X. It is like you have never spoken possum before, but I will forgive you. Pajax is a overly curious, very enthusiastic possum person who walks softly and carries a big gun and is obsessed with the vehicles and motors of the old world and the races, the lifelines that run through them. And he is looking to steal, find, create, make, whatever, the fastest car for the upcoming Dew Point race.
Nice.
As a member of the Washington Wheelers. And yeah, that's him.
And where is he? Is he from the Washington area originally? Has he been grown up in this area, or did he move here?
Oh no, the road has taken him to the Washington area. He had heard it was a good place to get clean.
It is maybe now, but how did he get so into cars? Where did that obsession come from?
Well, he's very fast himself to begin with, right? And he grew up being able to run and sprint and get away from people and monsters and, be like a courier. And then one day he met a traveler from the far off land of Motor City, as it is known now, who showed him that, no matter how fast you can run, you cannot outrun, the speeder bike that he had.
We've been using he, but you had put it there, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no, you know what? Let's just go with he because I won't.
Okay.
That was an affectation, but I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not good enough at catching myself on those things, so I'll just go to my default he, him.
I think we're post-apocalyptic and post-gender, so really anything.
Yeah.
And how did Pajax join up with the Washington Wheelers? What did that look like?
That looked like a like in 50s movies where they always race down the waterways in LA, like the aqueducts and stuff. That's exactly what it looked like, but with more fire and explosions.
So he impressed the Wheelers.
Oh yeah. It was very much a sort of like, you want to be in our gang, huh? Well, you got to make it through the river of death. Hey.
That's great. The river of death. I guess that's what they call the Potomac River now. So
yeah,
once a majestic river, and now just the river of death. Yeah. Let me see what else I can ask you. So you said he's got a heightened sense as one of his features. Is that in general all of his five senses are heightened? Does he have one of those senses in particular is heightened?
I'm just trying to think of like rodents in general. I think that his heightened sense is I think actually mostly visual. Like reaction time and small like motion and things like that. Kind of what it's supposed to be like a bird of prey or something.
Right. That's great. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Pajax?
That he has no idea that Drizzt' overall goal is to destroy technology. Just thinks he's his friendly mushroom friend.
What else would he be? Cool. Philip, let's come to you.
Sure.
Introduce us to Quinn.
Quinn was birthed by his organization, the bureaucrats, and he has risen through the ranks, and he currently holds the rank of cog. which means, you know, he's square in the middle of the information gathering group. And they kind of base themselves out of the remnants of what used to be the Pentagon. And they've decided to gather historical information and document it, and kind of associate it with what's going on, because even though technology is greater now than it used to be in some senses, they don't really feel like they master it until they build the processes around it and fully document it and create the forms and to make sure it functions like it used to function in the past. He is a scout, so he is sent out to find things that are of interest and bring it back, and he's hoping that one day he can come back and aspire to the rank of a process designer. That's the ultimate goal, where he can sit there and send other people out, but he kind of likes to hide and blend into the background, and then read thoughts of the folks or people around him to gather information.
Wow, that's great. I thought I was taking the morning off from work, but here we are doing process design. What was I going to ask you about him? What was the last thing he was sent out to find?
He was actually sent out to find. There were rumors of a series of optical drives that he doesn't know the term optical drives. He was just shown a picture of it at one of the former Northern Virginia DMVs, and he was sent in to get that and find that. And amazingly, he actually found it and brought it back. They didn't actually have the drive to read the discs that he brought, but they have them now. That's progress.
That's amazing. And can you tell us a little bit about his bioweapon? You said he has claws.
Yeah, he has claws, which is one of those things where if somebody actually discovers him, he technically he was trained in how to defend himself physically, but when people tend to spot him, he tends to freak out and just wail and lash out with his claws or on his hands and feet. So he can tear through armor and tear flesh. They've got that those old claws.
So does his camouflage work as part of his armor as well? Like, does that sort of help him completely blend in?
Yeah, I actually chose reflective armor with the idea that he also is basically camouflaging kind of like a chameleon, so he kind of blends into the background. That's kind of how he camouflages. The problem is it's never quite perfect, because geckos are colorblind, so he's always just a little bit off. So if you look for him, you can see him, but it definitely helps.
So not as bad as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, who says,
"Oh, it's one of those where as long as he sits there and doesn't move, and people aren't like, searching for him in that exact spot, normally they'll overlook him."
Okay,
but it's not. It's a natural thing. It's not a superpower.
Got it. That's amazing. I'm so excited to play with these characters. I thought I might take just a couple minutes to kind of review the core mechanic of the game, and then we can take a quick break. Actually, before I do that, Philip, was there anything else you wanted us to know about Nick Quinn before we got started?
Not really. I mean, Nick Quinn is one of those where he knows a lot of things, but he also is very innocent at the same time. So,
he strikes me as cautious, also maybe a little bit shy, like because he likes to use the camouflage and stay out of the way. Did I get that?
Yeah. It's one of those where think somebody that only knows things in books but mispronounces all the words when they have a conversation about it.
Yes, I may be related to people like that. Yes, I can totally get it. Cool, thank you. So World of Gamma has a very small footprint. I'm actually happy that character generation worked as well as it did. one of the constraints that I gave myself is I didn't want it to have a lot of moves, right? So it could still feel like a pretty hefty game, but take up a very small footprint. So there's really only two instances where you would roll the dice. And the idea here is that you roll the dice and that generates a currency, usually in Powered by the Apocalypse games, that's called hold. So that's what I call it here. And then either the move kind of gives you a success or a success with cost, or a miss, or it generates this hold, which you then use in these different settings. And I've got 5 different settings. So the idea is you pick which move you want to use, you make that roll, you describe the outcome. If it's kind of just a general, avoiding danger type thing. If it's something more than that, like exploring the landscape or interacting with technology or one of these others, then we would then use the hold and spend it as described in these moves, or in these settings is what I'm calling them. There's 2 moves. There's the human move and the animal move. So the idea is that each of you is kind of a little bit human and a little bit animal, right? And that you might tap into one of those sides more than the other. And this is entirely your call. So you can say, I'm using kind of more of my humanity when I approach this situation. So depending on your bias, you might see that, as I do, as kind of wisdom and intelligence. Or you might be relying more on your animal side, kind of instinct and sensation to pull something off. Completely up to you. This is, since you're all familiar with it, the game Brindlewood Bay. This is inspired by Brindlewood Bay, which has 2 moves, a day move and a night move. What I wanted was to give the player a little bit more choice as to which move they were invoking. So it's really up to you and the fiction and the story you want to tell as to which of these moves you invoke. You then pick one of your attribute scores: awareness, cunning, passion, or patience. You roll with that, and that will generate the hold. If you have a skill that you can use, you can, or a tag that you can use, you can invoke the tag to roll with advantage, which means you roll with 3 dice and discard the lowest. You may have multiple relevant tags, but you only roll 1 extra die. So for example, Will's character, Pajax, has the tag Curious, and if Pajax is approaching something with curiosity, Will could say, I'm going to invoke my Curious tag, and that will allow him to roll with 3 dice on whichever move he chooses. And I think we can go into the details of the settings once one of those is invoked. So that's the basic frame of the game. Did you have any clarifying questions at this point?
We may have questions further on, but I think it makes sense, in the moment.
As will I. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We are at 52 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's reconvene at the top of the hour. Let's take an 8-minute break, and I'm going to do some prep, and we can dive in. So I will see you in 7 minutes. Sound okay?
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I am resuming the recording. So I was going to kind of hard frame you all in a situation where, and I think this is relevant for at least 2 of you. Nick Quinn caught a lead on a camp run by the Followers of the Fruit. And they take over shopping malls or stores that we would recognize as Apple stores, but they call themselves the Followers of the Fruit, and they've made a camp in an old suburb outside of Washington, D.C. and Quinn has a lead that maybe there's some good information and good tech in this camp, the followers of the fruit. It turns out that this shopping mall was also home to a Tesla dealership. And Pajax is pretty psyched that maybe there's some tech there that he can use to soup up his car for the upcoming big race. You all know each other. You've kind of zeroed in on this shopping mall, this old shopping mall. And so you find yourselves in the wilderness outside the shopping mall. I say wilderness because it's just an overgrown parking lot at this point. And to be super duper transparent, this shopping mall does exist and does have both an Apple store and a Tesla dealership, because that's the kind of strange suburbs around the Washington, D.C. area. I'd originally imagined this as a bunker, but let's say dilapidated shopping mall, crumbling shopping mall, but potentially still inhabited by the followers of the fruit. You're in the wilderness outside, and I'm going to ask you now, what do you do? Quinn, I'll start with you.
I go, I appreciate the ride here, Pajax, but is this really as close as you can get me?
Maybe I could get closer if you want to try through the doors, but maybe I'd not be able to drive out again afterwards.
Well, I guess that's probably something we should avoid. You know, sometimes the followers of the fruit can be a little bit angry. I've seen that in the past. So yes, maybe we should just be ready to get out of here if we need to. Just go.
Yes.
I think I can probably sneak us in. You know, if you want to go. So we should go. By the way, if the regulations state if you leave your vehicle, you need to use the club. So I've brought one with me for you to use with your vehicle.
Pajax takes the club off you and looks at it, doesn't know what to do.
I'm not really sure what to do with it either. We just have the club and we don't have the manual for it yet. So, but we just have to leave it in the car.
Oh,
it makes the
okay.
car harder to steal.
Okay. I usually just take out the wires in the engine, but okay.
Well, if that's effective, we should probably rewrite the process.
He uses the club to rip the spark plugs out.
Okay. Well, I think we should go and we should try to head on in. Is Drist with us?
That's my
Yes.
Okay. So
Drist is smiling at the ripped out cables and enjoying themselves.
Drist, what can you describe some of the vegetation you see in this overgrown parking lot?
So there's definitely like this climbing ivy everywhere. I think because there's water dripping from the roof. There's also mushrooms growing in the corners. I imagine that the ceiling is broken in places and that bushes grow where the sun hits the ground.
That's great. I was asking about the exterior. Feels like you were talking about the interior, but maybe you're like in the covered parking lot. Maybe you're like in the parking deck.
Yeah, that was my
okay, good
impression.
Okay, cool. And Jax, are there other cars here?
Yeah, there's buses, and I think you can even see like some what we would recognize as military vehicles. Some form of checkpoint roadblock, which you know, who knows why it was here. And I think there's even a very rusted helicopter parked on top of the roof of the mall.
A rusted helicopter.
Yeah, probably an army chopper of some kind, you know.
Oh, nice. These are abandoned as far as you can tell.
Yes, yes, and in varying states of decay and whatever, right? Like
that's very evocative. As you approach one of the entrances to the old shopping mall, you hear creaking noises coming from the military checkpoint blockade thing, kind of a rusted hinge moving among the kind of sound of the wind through the vegetation. And you can see figures behind the glass doors in the entrance to the mall. You also know that the mall has other entrances as well. I'm picturing you kind of still, 50 feet-ish from the mall entrance. And maybe kind of the military blockade thing is those military jeeps. There's maybe 3 of them. They're 20 feet or so off to one side. What do you do? I'll put Pajax in the driver's seat. What do you do?
in the driver's seat. I see what you did there. Pajax says like, well, let us, if we work our way around the old vehicles, we may be able to get up close to the mall, to the building. And where I am from, there are usually entrances on the rooftops of these buildings. I believe they were temples, and this would let in the light from the great stars above.
How do you propose we go there when you can't even float?
I can climb, and you can float, and Nick Quinn, and he looks at Nick Quinn.
Who is completely in camouflage mode right now.
He looks around for Nick Quinn, and Nick Quinn has already gone, apparently.
I go, I can climb, and you see the red of his mouth as it opens.
Don't do that.
It's what I do.
So you're going to climb onto the roof. It sounds like avoid the figures in the entrance. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I suppose it's, I'm fine with going in the main entrance. It was more a case of like, let's try and using, the place where they might have guards. Let's try and climb the roof and go in for a skylight or something, right?
Yeah, I think with all the vines and overgrowth and the rubble, I think it's fairly easy to get onto the roof. And as you're kind of walking around up there, you see the rusted helicopter, definite skylights, also kind of overgrown and smashed. And as you peek in one of the skylights, you do see the symbol of the followers of the fruit, a giant stylized apple, or what you take to be an apple. And you see figures in that space where the followers of the fruit are. What do you do?
Can we spot what kind of people they are? Do they wear robes or something?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess, Nikwin, maybe you've had experience with the followers of the fruit. Have
they tend to wear overalls, just big white overalls with some sort of placard that clearly gives their title, and but the people that are their leaders are the ones that have the gray overalls, and they tend to gravitate towards a genus bar, which is where they tend to have their leadership.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the higher ranking ones actually have a lanyard with a badge on it that kind of that shows that they are especially high ranking.
Yeah, they have the placard on a rope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you know you're dealing with the management.
Yeah.
Do you see any of the geniuses? I hear they have dread powers.
I've never actually seen one. I just know they are by the genus bar.
Yes, we must look out for the bar. I wonder what kind of drinks they serve there.
Something mystical.
Terrible.
How do you get down into the? Are you trying to get down in there? Or are you looking for even another entrance? What's the play here? Drizzt, do you have an idea?
Yeah, Drizzt is Drizzt would just float down and confuse the followers with spores.
Okay. All right. So, Quinn, what do you want to do?
He's going to press his face against the glass and just generally try to see what surface thoughts he can pick up in the room.
Oh, using your psychic power.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. And Jax?
He is going to try and sneak down, climb.
Okay.
Through the openings. Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Quinn. I think with your power, you can maybe kind of get a general feel for what's going on in the room, or zero in on a single person to read their specific thoughts in that moment. If you want to do something bigger than that, you'll have to mark an attribute. What do you want to do?
At this point, he pretty much just wants to get a general feel. And you kind of notice it's almost like he weirdly headbutts the glass and he just smacks his face against the glass and makes a kind of like a weird humming noise and starts to pick things up, all of which is completely unnecessary.
Okay, so he does this because he feels like he should.
Yeah,
but he doesn't actually have to in order to invoke his power.
Yeah.
That sounds right. And I think you just get the feeling that there's kind of a heightened level of anxiety, like they're getting ready for something to happen. Drizzt, you are floating down.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's kind of dark enough or there's a space where you can float down where they're not really noticing you. I'm sort of picturing you kind of like my background picture, like you're in the main area of the mall, and there's a storefront that was formerly the Apple store. So you can, and they're all inside the old Apple store. So, so I would say you're kind of floated down now, maybe a few storefronts away from the Apple store. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Okay. And Pajax, I think you're trying to climb down stealthy so they don't notice you, right? Will, did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Sorry, I've forgot to log out of my work messenger, so I've got people bothering me now, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to do. I've taken the time off. Leave me alone. Anyways, Pajax is going to stealth. I think through the same place that Drizzt is floating. Like as Drizzt floats down, you see like the possum sort of like scuttle kind of around and then under the roof kind of thing. Because
this I feel like I want to do a move for. So you can use your human side, wisdom and intelligence, or your animal side. What do you want to do?
I think this is an animal side, really. Because I think it's creeping around and stealthily approaching your prey or predators, kind of thing.
So your goal is to climb down without being noticed. Did I get that right?
Yes, entirely, yes.
Okay, and do any of your skills apply, or any of your tags
Let's see. My speed, perhaps, because I am quick, so it will be a short window.
I'll allow it. So you roll 3 dice. Oh, and then you need to choose which attribute you're going to use.
Oh, well, I think this is probably cunning, really.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So roll 3 dice and add your cunning to the.
I get a 6 total.
Wow.
Yeah. I rolled 2 1s and a 4. So
So
use an advantage, right? Sorry, I
yeah.
just yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I feel like you come crashing down.
I suggest I climb down one of those columns, and as I like latch onto it, it just goes backwards.
Do you want to take harm, or do you want to alert the people in there?
I feel like I want to alert the people in there because it kicks things up a notch. You know.
So two people emerge from the store, and they've got things that give off light in a kind of omnidirectional way, like lanterns, but they're very modern. You don't really recognize them. They're a bit above your tech level, but they basically function the same way as lanterns do. I think they catch sight of you, but you're on maybe the far side of the opening, and so they start kind of walking towards you and shouting, "Who goes there? What do you do?" And Drist, I'm imagining you're nearby to where Jax ended up on the floor.
I'm a Mac, not a PC.
They say, "Are you here for the ceremony?"
Yes.
No.
He said, well, which is it? Is it yes or no?
It can be both.
Let's see. Horst, what kind of animal person is speaking to you? There's 2 of them. We'll make them 2 different animals. What's one of them?
One of them is a giraffe.
Of course. So many giraffe here in the Mid-Atlantic area. So a giraffe, do they have the long neck and everything?
Definitely the long neck and the patterns on the neck.
Yeah, that's great. And Will, the other one?
I think this one has like a plant-like beard, you know, like it looks like lichen and stuff. Is that what you're asking? Sorry, what they look like?
What kind of animal are they?
Oh, what kind of? I was thinking like a plant person.
A plant, I mean. Perfect.
Yeah.
They come over to you. They're trying to wear the coveralls, but the coveralls don't really fit either of these creatures, these people especially well. And they're like, come with us. And they drag you, they try and drag you off closer to the Apple store. I'm going to ask Quinn, what do you can see all of this from where you are, from your vantage. What do you do?
I am first trying to figure out why the heck that I thought we were trying to be stealthy. And at which point I want to probe the one that asked about the ceremony to try to figure out if I can figure out what he means by ceremony.
You get the feeling that he is worried that this disruption will be very disappointing to the leader, the regional leader of the followers of the fruit, who they just simply refer to as jobs.
Okay. At this point, I will try to kind of army crawl over and get closer to where my compatriots are, but still not quite drop down yet.
Okay. Drizzt and Pajax, they are taking you to a storefront that's next door to the Apple Store. I think it was like a former Victoria's Secret, let's just say, and which is the only other store I can imagine in a mall, and for some reason, and it's completely devoid of everything, right? Everything's been cleared out bare, but there's still kind of the pink carpeting and things like that. And they take you back to the try-on rooms, and they're clearly going to lock you up in here. Drizzt, what do you do?
I'm releasing spores to, I don't know, to confuse them, I think.
Okay, I love that. And Pajax, what are you doing?
Also, I'm warning Pajax not to breathe.
Jax is holding his breath, I think, and getting ready to. I think what he's going to do is he's going to try and grab one of the Victoria's Secret mannequins.
Yep.
And like, in whatever moment of confusion, slip the mannequin into their hands. So that, like, perhaps they'll be so. He's sent Drizzt, maybe he's got high off Drizzt's pheromones spores before, and he's like, you might believe anything when you're under that effect, including that we've been transformed into a mannequin.
So I'm seeing, of course, that Drizzt has both the mental power of cause confusion and a toxin.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you using? Or you?
Yeah, it's the confusion bit.
Okay. Yeah, you can basically. I think you can kind of sufficiently confuse them without a cost. If you want to kind of drive them somewhat mad, there would be you can mark an attribute, but to just sort of simply confuse them as to kind of where they are, what they're doing, or who you are, I think you can kind of do that for free. So what is the effect? What is it that you that happens to these two, the giraffe and the plant?
I mean, if I can confuse them to the point where they would distract the people in the Apple Store. So I want an increased effect, if you will, where they maybe scream and shout about all the colors they see all of a sudden. I would do that.
Okay, so maybe they kind of get the feeling that they are being overwhelmed. Like the confusion is like they're feeling like there's more of you, or there's or that you've gotten away, or something like that, and they start to shout for help. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Okay, cool. And Pajax, are you now taking a swing at these two?
I think it's more of a like shove the mannequin at them and run. You know what I mean? Like, rather than swing, it's more a case of like, let's get away from these people.
Okay.
Move to a more favorable territory, kind of stuff,
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm gonna ask you to roll for that, but I'm gonna ask Drizzt, are you gonna follow Pajax when he bolts?
Where's Pajax bolting towards?
I don't know.
Out of the store, down the escalator, and into the Tesla showroom that I can see.
Okay, I like where that's going. Drizzt, you gonna follow, or are you gonna hang out?
Drizzt is hanging out and looking for Quinn, because they know that Pajax is probably looking for cars, and Drizzt is not interested in cars.
Okay. Quinn, what are you doing when all of this is going down? You're watching these two followers kind of start to freak out a little bit and attract the attention of their brethren.
At this point, I have a feeling that I was crawling down because I kind of got a feel that they were being put in and they were being locked up. So I was sneaking down to rescue them. So I somehow missed the warning about don't breathe in the spores. So at this point, I imagine Nickwin is trying to sneak through the area where the two guards are under the effect of the confusion spores.
Okay.
And not sure that he's really not breathing.
Okay. I think Drist ended up not using the spores and just using his mental power.
Okay, then I'm good. Yep.
Yeah, but you've snuck down.
Yep.
You're watching Pajax bolt away. You're watching Drist make their way towards you. Is there anything else that you are doing now that you are in the mall?
At this point, I'm pretty sure that with any excuse, Pajax is going to go towards the Tesla dealership. So I'm probably going to head that way.
Okay. All right. I think, and Drist, are you following to the dealership, or are you going to hang out and watch what happens with the followers?
Drist is not interested in cars at all. He would probably try to decompose them, and I know that would make Pajax sad. So he's, I think he's sticking around, seeing what the followers do after they are confused.
Okay, let's do that first, and then we'll come to the Tesla dealership. I think some other followers come out, and they are now sort of believing that their friends, the giraffe and the plant, have been seeing things, because there's obviously not that much around. Drist, are you staying out of sight, or are you still visible to them? Drist?
I was muted, I'm sorry. Drist is trying to keep out of sight.
Okay. So you observe they've come out and they've calmed down, and you hear them talking about the arrival. And in fact, I think because it's generally fairly quiet outside, you hear the whine of a very modern engine arriving on the roof. Everyone, all the followers are getting even more exciting, and they go back into the Apple store, and they kind of take their places along the rows of the tables in there as they await for jobs to arrive.
Ajax leans around a cardboard cutout of Elon Musk, King Musk, as he was known before the apocalypse, and that was easy. That's true what they say about Apple followers, always distracted by the latest shiny object.
I think the Tesla dealer, I think that cardboard cutout is the only thing left visibly that you can see in the Tesla dealership, which is a little bit of ways from the Apple store. So it's fairly, you didn't have to traipse a long way across the mall, but it was fairly distant.
Yeah, down the corridor, kind of.
Right.
Like, yeah. But hearing the engine above, he's like, well, the legends were true. It's impossible to find one of these lightning-powered vehicles. I must head to the roof. We must find the rest of, whatever that is on the roof. I want it.
Okay. Nickwin, what are you doing when Pajax says this?
I think since he's prone to say his thoughts out loud, I will agree with him right from behind, camouflaged, of course, and just say, yes, I agree. By the way, where's Drist?
Probably floating around somewhere.
Don't you think we should find him before we do anything?
Why, is he growing on you?
I don't think so. Has he been growing on you?
He's tried.
Yeah, he should probably not do that. I mean, he's here, so he's one of us, at least, at the moment. So we should probably for him, because he could definitely get us in trouble.
Yes, no, we will find Drist, and perhaps we will see what these followers of the fruit are up to.
Okay, I think we should go back. And I think we'll start to head back to kind of.
Yeah, I tell you to lead the way with your camouflage, and
I
give
do,
you like,
but you really don't see it.
Well, I was going to give you like a piece of string or something that you can I'll just follow the tiny thing that you're carrying rather than the.
Exactly. I'll tie it to one of my little head horns, and just so I've got a slight little string tail.
Awesome. Okay, so as you approach, you see Jobs has appeared, and he is carrying bags of technology, and he's handing it out in the Apple Store. And it's fairly clear, Nick Quinn, that this is technology that has a lot of information on it that the bureaucrats would just love. Probably includes business processes from how all these old tech companies used to work, how the retail business used to work, just chock full of process information, as well as potentially old tax records, which are like gold for your people. Meanwhile, so the followers are all fairly distracted by that, and the vehicle on the roof appears to be unguarded. What do you do?
I mean, the obvious, right? I jump into the seat.
So you're going to climb back up onto the roof?
I guess actually no. I'm like, let's be quick. Let's find the mushroom and then let's go. That looks. What does the vehicle look like again? Sorry, it looks like.
I think I don't know. I was picturing kind of something futuristic, like a flying car type thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it looks kind of like a car-sized iPod sort of thing, you know. But like on the bottom, it's kind of like that glowing effect of the screen.
Yes.
You know, like floating slightly off the ground, and I'm like, it doesn't even have wheels, and yet it moves.
I wonder also if there's some Tesla elements here.
Oh yeah.
With the doors that kind of come up and the
yeah, and all of that, and it's like, what's is the Tesla logo literally like a lightning bolt or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an apple with a lightning bolt through. It's the
merger that we were
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's when Elon Musk took over all tech industry in the coup of 2025.
That's probably what brought about the apocalypse. Yeah.
Yes, entirely. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to abandon my companions, but I'm very much like, you know, pushing for us to leave, whatever, right? So I will tag along with the rest of the group until a convenient time to run away from the Apple cultists and do a Blues Brothers style chase in this flying car.
Drist, you see an opportunity here to maybe disrupt some pretty crucial technology. I mean, the followers are probably your mortal enemy because they are people who want to, who worship technology. So I'm sort of curious how you see taking advantage of this situation.
I don't know if you have seen Raised by the Wolves yet.
No.
Which is like a science fiction series, and one of the super friendly robots once in a while turns into a killing machine, which is Drist not turning into, but they just walk casually into the store and release the most toxic acidic spores they are capable of producing in order to disrupt this evil technology.
So I love this. Can you describe it a little bit more? Are you sort of walking, sort of like maybe we've gone into slow-mo and you're sort of walking in, just kind of releasing all the spores. Is that about right?
Yeah, so Drist has this mushroomy head, like just about the picture, and from under the the head, the hood. The hood moves up and down like a squid or something, and then there's this cloud of mushroom that is released and settles on all surfaces.
Okay. What happens to people when they breathe in the spores?
They have trouble breathing, and so they need to cough. I do think that they are also psychedelic in some capacity. So maybe they lose, they lose the ability to see reality clearly.
I also wonder if they change their attitude towards technology. Is that feasible?
I like it. That is very feasible indeed.
I'm going to have you roll, since this is kind of a big thing. And let's try that out. So I assume you're using, or you tell me, are you using your human side or your animal or / fungus side?
Yeah, well, that's the animal side, definitely.
Okay. And I think your toxin tag definitely applies. So now you just need to choose, are you rolling, which attribute are you rolling with?
Well, it's not passion well, I think it's passion. Yeah, it's the passionate hatred for technology.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's exactly right. So you roll 3 dice and add 2 and take the best roll. I do have a dice roller, which I posted.
Yeah, I'm on the dice roller. So 3d6, create a roll. What should we call this roll? Do I have to name it? No.
You don't have to.
Call it release the spores. And the modifier is 2. Done. And then where does it show?
The roll the dice is the button at the very bottom.
Okay. I rolled a total of
1d6 there.
Oh, that's not good. Number of d6. I said 3, man. Okay, I roll again, maybe. And that is. Do I have to roll again?
Here, let me try. Release the spores. I rolled very poorly for you, so if you don't want that, we can. Oh no, we were supposed to roll 3.
I'm fine with the whatever the result is.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Oh no, so it's a 3 and a 2 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So you succeed, but there's a complication. So I'm going to say the spores generally affect most people, and what they start doing is taking the technology that Jobs is handing out to them and throwing it on the floor and stamping on them, right? So they're getting really anti-tech, and they start destroying the tech that Jobs is handing out. But Jobs is not affected by your spores. And they turn around and look at you, and they're pretty, maybe, I don't know, what kind of animal or what do you think Jobs looks like?
Turtle.
What I thought you were going to do. Like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or something, something weirder?
I mean, pretty much a Ninja Turtle without the nunchucks.
Right. Okay. So just straight up turtle, full shell, kind of reptile-like demeanor, and that feels right. Will. And he takes one look at you, and pulls out a sword from his back. And Niquin, I was going to ask you, how do you feel about all this tech being stomped on?
Well, I know at this point that Driz must have a plan, because clearly he's not actually doing what I think he's doing. So I'm convinced that he's trying to get their attention to drag them away. So I'm going to help him with that plan. So I'm going to jump up and scream, "Let's get him!" Assuming that he's trying to cause a distraction.
And by him, who do you mean?
Drist.
So wait. So you're saying let's get Drist? Or
Yeah, I because I'm assuming that there's no way he's actually trying to destroy the technology. That just does not compute in my head.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that he is in some way trying to get their attention to drag them away from the technology that they're all throwing on the ground.
Okay.
So I'm trying to help him get everybody's attention to have him follow him.
Okay.
So because that's the only thing that makes sense in my head.
Drist, are you okay with this?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So they all sort of turn to you. I think they're turning to you, Niquin, and maybe they're a little confused. Like, what do you want us to do?
I point at him and I go, I go, "Apostate, get him!"
Oh wow. Okay. I think I would like you to roll to see if you are convincing. So your goal is to get them to focus on Drist.
Yes.
And not the technology. Okay. Are you using your human side or your animal side?
I think I'm using my human side.
Okay.
And in this case, it's cunning, because clearly there's a plan.
And is there any tags that I think no, but maybe you have an argument for that?
Not really. I mean, it's one of those where the only thing that would potentially apply is research that I knew enough about it, but I probably don't know enough about these folks.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll my 2. Let's see. 11. Is that good?
Wow. And you're cunning?
Yep. So that's 13.
Wow. That's fantastic. So what does this look like now?
At which point I think all the eyes immediately turn to Drizzt, and they all start to run towards him, at which point I give him the thumbs up. Like, this is working great. And I'm sure they're all running at him like crazed pirates boarding a ship.
Are they angry at him, or do you feel like they're just sort of appreciative?
I think that they're following the instructions of somebody that is higher than them in the chain of command, or at least perceived. So they're all trying to do as best they can, though when they get them, they're probably not 100% sure what to do with them.
Right. I also feel like, to a certain extent, this offers you Drist protection from
the sword.
Right. So Jobs kind of sees that his opportunity is lost, and he grabs the rest of the tech that he was handing out, and he runs to the back room, because we've all seen that back room in the Apple Store. Niquin, what do you do?
I'm going to start to run behind him.
Okay.
Because at that point, I'm pretending to be in a position of authority. And as I'm running behind him, I'm sneaking out my needler.
Okay. So we'll pause on that, and I'll come to Jax. You were you sneaking up to the roof? Were you just waiting? I can't remember.
No, I was waiting to see what would happen, and now that this is all happening, I am going to carjack Steve Jobs.
As well, you should.
Yes, give me the keys. Basically, like, while everybody else is dealing with these two chuckleheads, if I'm right, they're essentially like the cult's kind of, occupied currently with Quinn and Drizzt, effectively.
Well, Steve Jobs is the turtle.
The turtle, yes.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
run off. He's
Yeah.
run off, has he? Oh,
He's
so
run off.
are they all going after Steve Jobs?
Well, Drizzt is now occupied by the followers of the fruit because Quinn sent them after him. Quinn has gone after Steve Jobs into the back room.
I follow Quinn.
Okay, you're gonna follow.
Yeah, because I know that like really flashy cars and stuff all require like keys and fobs and things like that, like old tech that and that's a fancy car. So
it may require biometrics to enter too. So
I don't know, but however he unlocks it, I have a submachine gun and a willingness to kill Steve Jobs.
Drizzt, you've got a bunch of followers now. What do you do? Do you how do you calm them down?
I will tell them a story. No, listen to me. What you have thought all your life might be an illusion. Don't be so rude. No, don't touch this. This is this is my private space. And I will tell them a long-winded story about an adventurer who blinded a cyclops and was a dick about it.
And your goal, is it to bore them to sleep? Is it
I think it's to calm them down and to educate them about the wrongs of their ways.
Oh, nice. Okay, it's got a moral to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moral is don't be a dick.
It really should be the moral of every story these days. So, are you using your human side or your animal side?
I think I use my human side.
Okay, let's try another roll. I'm going to share my screen just so we'll make sure we're looking at the same thing. So you enter, and you're using entertainment, right? So you've got an advantage. So you put the 3 here in the number of d6.
Yes. Should I do that?
Yeah, go for it.
That's what I did. 3 number of dice. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we call it.
I think you just call it entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment. Entertainment. Okay. I1 type is 6. Add another die. Is that what I have to do?
I think you accidentally clicked create a role at the very top.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah. So if you cancel that and then just do where it says build a role underneath.
Build a role. Yeah. So 3 dice. I get this. And then roll the dice at the bottom.
Yep.
Let's do that then.
There we go. So your 2 best rolls are an 8. Were you adding an attribute there?
Let's see. My attribute would be awareness, passion, cunning, or patience. I can see patience.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take some patience. So that's a 10.
Nice.
Tell me what the reaction looks like now that you've told them this story.
I think they are in contemplation. That most of them understand that the main hero of the story is actually an anti-hero, and he shouldn't use his intellect to blind this poor creature. And also not telling him his name was a dick move. So I think that they probably question whether rationality itself is the tool to use rather than compassion.
Fascinating.
So it's a contemplative. They're in a contemplative mood, I would
Right.
say.
They're sitting and they're meditating now on the 20-minute story that you've told them. Is are they abandoning the followers of the fruit? Are they creating a new faction? What are their society?
Well, that is for them to decide, obviously. I picture Drizzt sitting in the middle with the followers around, the followers of the fruit around them. And, some might choose another way, maybe the order of the shroom, and some might abandon their post. And, maybe some will still find solace in technology. Who knows?
Do you have pamphlets for the Order of the Shroom that you can hand out to them?
Yes, they're decomposing after 2 or 3 days, but if they learn them quickly enough.
That's awesome. I'm wondering if there's there's another, they don't want to be even in the Apple store anymore, so they go find we have a store in this country called Bed Bath and Beyond, not Bed Bath and Beyond, but Bath and Body Works, which is sort of like a lot of kind of what to these folks might seem like very natural things. So they're sort of abandoning the technology and going for the nice smelling soaps instead. So,
I like it.
does that sound reasonable?
Yes, very reasonable.
How do you it took a while to tell that story, but I feel like with your 10, you were able to do it effectively and not necessarily completely lose track of your companions. Are you following after them, or do you have a different plan?
Well, with a 20 minutes delay, I will make haste after them.
All right. So let's talk about you all ascending to chasing Steve Jobs. His name is not Steve, it's just Jobs. That's just what he goes by. You're in the back room of the Apple store. It is very dark, and there are lots of metal kind of shelves that have been stripped bare. There's nothing left on these shelves. Jobs is now seems to have disappeared in this room. But Jax, what do you do?
Chase after Jobs and pull out the submachine gun and say, "We're going for a ride."
And Niquin, what are you doing?
Do I think he's still in this room, or do I think he's run ahead?
You can't imagine where else he would be. I'm picturing that maybe this becomes kind of our main foe, and so he will make a getaway at the end of this scene. But I think for now he's still in this room.
Then I'm going to stop what I'm doing and just start to try to figure out what he's thinking. Because if he's this slippery, the more information I can get from him, the better.
Well, I think one thing that Pajax is saying as well is that, give me the keys, the starter thingy, or whatever it makes it work.
I want the keys to your car.
Yeah, your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
I think you can sense that. I guess Niquin can sense that he's still in the room, even though it's very dark in here. And you can sense that he's feeling around in the back for the back exit.
Okay.
What do you do, Niquin?
I start to head towards the direction I think would be the back exit.
Okay. And Pajax?
I fire submachine gun blasts at him.
It seems
because he's not. When you threaten someone with a gun, you should be willing to follow through. I always feel.
And Pajax seems like the one who would maybe shoot first and ask questions later.
Yes, yeah, let's hope it's not linked to his, well, if it's linked to his, I might gnaw off his hand to see if it is biometrically linked.
Actually, he is, yeah, he's curious, but not cautious. So I think that seems right. Um, you hear bullets hitting metal objects, you hear it hitting walls. Maybe you hear Jobs shout out, damn it, but he's a turtle. And so I think the bullet kind of glanced off his shell. And as you're doing that, you hear and see a back door open. Light floods in. It's a fairly big room back here. And so, it'd take a minute or two or several seconds to cross the room. But you see him kind of fill the shadow of the room or fill the shadow of the door. So you see his silhouette in the door is what I'm trying to say. And I guess, Quinn, how close did you get?
I'm thinking that at this point, I was about to grab him until I needed to avoid it. Needed to avoid machine gun ricochet.
Okay, so you sort of took cover.
Yeah, it was one of those where I was just about to get him, and I was just about to grab it, the back of his collar when I heard the submachine gun rack. At which point I dove onto the ground, knowing how this traditionally goes at this point.
Right. He says to you, he recognized you, and he says, a cog from the bureaucrats. Well, as you know, our rivalry goes back decades. And I have information here that I know the bureaucrats would love to get their hands on, and that might even take you all down. And you hear him clambering up a set of metal stairs out on the kind of back of the building and heading up to the roof. You also hear the sound of the car starting up, and it's got a purr. It's sort of Tech 5 engine has a purr that really, Pajax, gets your heart going. You're just like, oh, I gotta get me one of those. And through the back of the door, you see him kind of fly off into. You just see him fly away. And I'm going to pause there for our next break. But let me ask Drist, how far did you get? How much of this did you witness after telling your story?
I mean, 20 minutes is a long time. I'm not sure.
I don't know that it needs to be a full 20 minutes. I was just sort of...
Okay. So I think at the end of the story, I hear the submachine gun and the bullets ricocheting from the turtle shell.
Okay. And that's when you come in and see Jobs heading out.
Yes.
Cool. We're right at the top of the hour. So let's take 10 minutes and reconvene at 10 past. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, and I apologize. I've been a little bit distracted with just the takeoff is the day that they just bombard me with shit that needs to be done by tomorrow, basically.
No
so
worries.
sorry.
Well, if you need to go,
No. It's fine. It's all been like, we need this for tomorrow so we can start filming on Monday and shit like that. And it's like, come on, guys. Why?
All right. So I will see you all in 9 minutes.
See you guys.
And land on the oncoming traffic side, which is now free of cars because they were all trying to leave the city for some reason.
Right. Are there cars? Are there other traffic out here? I was sort of imagining that there wasn't really much going on, but maybe you're picturing there is lots of other.
Oh no, I don't. I mean like ruined cars, like wrecks. And,
I see wrecks.
Like I feel like the road that led out of Washington DC was chock a block with stranded people come the apocalypse, whereas the road into DC was strangely clear of people.
Yes.
Come in. Yeah.
That is probably true. So you have arrived because you rolled an 8, I'm going to say, and you matched speed. I'm going to say you arrived just before or just after Jobs arrived at this destination. I think the cost here is you've kind of burnt out your car. So it is now smoking, and it'll take a lot to get it going again. Does that sound reasonable?
No, that sounds perfect because Pajak's fully intends to steal another car instead.
Okay. I like that he's not emotionally attached to this vehicle.
He maybe become emotionally attached to the flying one that he sees in front of him.
Niquin, what is going on in this office park? What do you see here to kind of let you know that it used to be a place where people worked?
I think that outside there's still a handful of cars of the people that were considered essential employees during the apocalypse, and even though the apocalypse was happening, they had to be at the office.
Right. At a Microsoft office. Yes.
Yeah. And that being said, even with all of this being done, there's probably a nice reception area with somebody working at the front desk.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking.
It's got a big Microsoft logo on the building, or has that been removed?
It's been kind of spray painted over with with the term "iOffice" written over the top of it.
Okay. And Drist, what unusual vegetation do you see here overgrowing the Microsoft parking lot?
Unusual vegetation.
You're a fungus, so I ask you the vegetation questions.
Yes. No, that's okay. I think that the Order of the Shroom had executed a terrorist attack with mold bombs, and so part of the loading bay is covered with this sticky mold that it's and there's still people trapped inside the in the mold.
So, and maybe there's people there kind of around the side of the building where the loading bay is, trying to clean off the mold and trying to rescue the folks in there. Was the effect just kind of these big sticky things attached to the building, or was there something else that the mold did?
No, it's like fly paper. So if you can't get them off, they will just starve to death.
Oh wow. Okay. Does it have decomposing qualities as well? Is it trying to kind of turn the building back into dirt?
Yes, it does, and it has been successful in parts.
How long ago was this attack?
Well, given that there are people still alive, I think it is fairly recent.
Okay. All right.
Maybe they've, the other employers throw them sandwiches to the trapped ones so that they don't starve.
Ouch! Yikes! Niquin, how do you think you need to get into this building? Are you going into the reception area, or are you gonna try and get in some other way?
I think that the reception area is probably the easiest. Niquin tends to be, he's of the mindset that if you have a person that's sitting there at the front desk, they probably have less security there.
Okay.
So his thinking is, he can, if he can sneak by the person at the reception desk, it's probably easier for him to penetrate.
Okay. As you walk in, I guess Paige Jackson and Drist, are you going to go along with walking in the reception, or do you want to do something else?
Go along with it. I think walking in like a Wild West gunslinger.
Sadly, it turns out that the reception is being managed by a robot, not a person. and the robot says to you, good afternoon. What is your business here?
We're looking for jobs.
Very well. He is in a meeting. May I ask who is coming? May I ask who you are?
I look around, looking for inspiration, and I see a fallen security gate on the inside, and I go, gates.
Checking database, and then it kind of does its thing. Pajak, since you're interacting, what is the form this robot takes? Humanoid? Is it something else?
I think it's humanoid. I think it's one of those big, like, amiibos, those Japanese, like, little robot things that are like big chunky plastics and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's like that, but it has a face that looks like Clippy.
I'm disturbed, and in a good way. Does it have like arms that kind of move around?
Yeah, but I think that they just sort of like move, and they don't actually do anything. It's like a facsimile of
right.
It's really just a computer system, but it looks like a robot going do 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 do.
Yeah, it looks more advanced than it is. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sort of, my brain went to kind of the animatronic displays at Disney World. I don't know if that's that, but they're sort of very wooden, and they don't really move in a very natural way. And so that's sort of what I'm picturing here. Quinn, what's your impression of this robot? We've got a face like Clippy. What kind of facial expressions does it make?
It always seems to make slightly the wrong facial expression for whatever it's trying to accomplish. So, and it always seems to end in some sort of big flourish. At which point Quinn realizes that if he keeps staring at this robot, that's where madness will be. So he tries not to make eye contact anymore.
Right. And maybe it sort of positions it as, I see you're trying to enter. Would you like help with that? That kind of thing. And the facial expressions are just the side of eerie, sort of like what maybe a 21st century person thought was trying to be friendly, but they couldn't quite manage it. Drist, it's a robot. This is sort of like the technology's technology. How are you? What do you do to this robot, or what do you do with this robot?
Drist is sneaking up around the robot, trying to open up the casing from behind.
Oh, nice. Okay. The robot says, "What are you doing? I will call security. What are you doing? I will call security."
I am turning you off, of course. You are an abomination.
Okay. So you were trying to interact with technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more than interact with robots. And this is way above your
pay grade
level. Well, certainly your tech level, maybe not your pay grade. So I'm going to ask you, it's not quite what it's meant to do, but let's try it. So I'm going to ask you to roll.
Mm-hmm.
Which side, your human side or your animal side?
I mean, opening up the thing does require remembering my human side, I think.
Some ingenuity, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any tags that are relevant here?
Don't think so.
Right. So which attribute are you going to use?
I think it will be cunning. I'm executing a plan.
Okay. You're going to roll 2 dice and subtract 1.
Yes. Roll with me. So I'll go 2 dice. And then just modifier is -1.
Right.
I don't give it a name. Just roll. It's a 7. Yay!
Sorry about that. So you using your human move, you gain 3 hold.
Wow.
And but there's a complication or a cost. So you can understand, use, or fix. Clearly, I need to add destroy.
well, now that I open it up and for some reason I got a almost instinctive understanding of the creature, I'm not going to destroy it. I'm going to fix it.
Okay. So I didn't do a good job of incorporating how the tech level stuff incorporates into this, but I'm imagining you need to spend probably 2 hold to just really try and understand it before you can spend a hold to fix it. What does this process look like? Can you describe how you actually go about interacting with the robot tech?
So I do find the handle or whatever that opens up the casing, and then I reach inside and I leave behind a trace of like a heart-shaped mold, and I want to give it emotions and feelings.
Okay. So you want the robot to react, to start to have, is the intent to actually give the robot feelings or just to destroy the robot in an ironic way?
And I want to give it emotions in a completely unironic way.
Okay.
So that it finds like autonomy and their own purpose in life that is not sitting at a desk.
Okay. Of course, it's sort of, it doesn't actually have any legs or anything. It's just sort of bolted down there. So I'm going to say that the complication is that it becomes kind of mad now that it has this self-awareness and resentful.
Where's the complication?
Yeah.
It seems like a full success.
Right. So it's now resentful that it can feel, and it has this self-awareness, and it's bolted to this desk and has no means for moving away. I think it's probably going to call security anyway. Let me get a read of the room. Do we want to try combat? Are we trying to avoid combat? How are we feeling about it? Feels okay. Phil, what do you think?
Actually, what I would try to do is it one of those things where to call for assistance, is it leaning over and picking up like a giant wired telephone from the desk?
No, it probably just pushes a button.
Okay, that's less fun. So what I want to do is I want to try to, if I see it trying to do that, I want to do something to make it not press the button. So basically slide the desk away, or that's my thinking.
Are you trying to hold its arm?
No. I want to slide the in and out bin over the button so it can't press the button.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I just want to match it for, I don't want to
make a suggestion.
Yeah.
So it is rooted into a chair, right? But the chair is like an office chair with like wheels and stuff, and you could just push it slightly back from the thing.
That's a good idea.
All right, so you've nudged it out of the way.
Yep.
And now its anger is, you can almost feel it, even though it's just mold and circuits now. It's like it can't express itself. And you get the feeling this thing is going to explode. It's
as in self-destruct.
It's I don't know that it has a self-destruct mode, but it's feeling such a level of conflict, and its circuits and were not meant to handle this. So it's starting to billow smoke, and its voice has gotten all messed up, and it starts saying things like, I see you are trying to make me hate everything about the world. Can I help you with that? Or, sort of Clippy style approaches to deep, deep cynicism and resentment. What do you do? Pajax, let me start with you.
I would like to leap in to try and shove this robot, lift it and throw it away, which I think sounds like a brawling with.
Okay.
Perhaps,
Yeah. And in fact, I suspect some alarms have triggered anyway. It doesn't roll out the security bots, but you see a couple of goons show up because they got some signal that there was something wrong. So maybe you're pushing the robot into the goons. Does that seem?
Yes. Can we say that the goons are like? I mean, I don't know what might be in this, but maybe like scavenger cannibals. You know what I mean? Like,
Can I put a suggestion out?
Yeah.
Pandas. They're in the Washington Zoo, but during the apocalypse, they've gone crazy now.
Yeah, and everyone knows you do not mess with the pandas; they will eat you alive. Yeah.
I made so many trips down to that panda exhibit when my kids were younger, and this seems like a fitting end for them. So, the pandas come out; they're all decked out in military garb, and they're like, "What's going on here?" In a panda accent, and pandas don't have any useful traits other than they look cute. So that's like, they can't even manage to look scary as goons. They're just sort of like cuddly goons show up. Pajax, what are you doing?
What I said, ripping the robot, I'm throwing him away at them. I think the robot's clumsy arms are like, how can I help you? How can I help you? Hey.
Love it. Does the robot explode? Nick Quinn, what do you think?
I think it does, and it's not necessarily like ballistic explosion, but sparking, overheating, that sort of thing.
Okay. I think they kind of push it out of the way, and it's still kind of counting down, or doing sparking and flailing, and they both pull out guns, and they say, "Stand down, get on the ground." What do you do? Driz, let me start with, are you back? Horst, yeah. What do you do when these adorable panda guards brandish weapons?
Drist is diving behind the counter where the robot sat and gets out their blowgun.
Okay, nice. And Nickwin?
I think he's going to kind of just panic for a second, and then try to dive on the floor and vanish.
Okay. And Pajax?
Running at the machine gun and firing a burst and running for cover.
All right. So let's deal with that first. Why don't you roll, and then we'll figure out how the combat gets resolved. Are you humaning it or animaling it?
Human would be wisdom and intelligence. I think the way I've made Pajax means that everything seems to be animalistic, because it's all instinct and sensation and enthusiasm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I roll plus, I think this is passion, perhaps?
Sure.
Yeah. So +2. I don't think I have any. Oh, speed again.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely a useful thing to have in a gunfight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a 12.
Yeah.
So,
nice. Okay.
3 hold? No, 2 hold.
Right. 2 hold. Or you can take, because you had a 10+, you can take get a fleeting opportunity or an extra hold. Which would you?
I'll go for a fleeting opportunity.
Okay. So when fighting, you can trade harm and spend all your hold to gain the edge, or trade harm and then do any one of these things.
What does the edge signify?
The edge basically, you would end up making another combat roll, and then when you have the edge, you can completely incapacitate the enemy.
Okay. And can I pass that edge on to my fellow party?
Oh, what a good idea. Sure, why not?
Yeah, because otherwise it just feels like me fight, there's three of us, right?
Yeah.
So I will take the edge.
Okay. So you need to take harm, and that means marking one of your attributes or tags, which means you cannot then use that in a roll.
Okay. Oh, could I have used my demeanor as a tag?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine, not irrelevant now, just as a question, but cool. I will remove, I think, well, if I tag one of my attributes, does that mean that I don't gain the bonus on the dice?
If you tag one of your attributes, you cannot use that as part of a roll. Right.
Okay, I tag patience, the -1, so I never have to deal with it. Yeah.
Cool. Drizzt, you were going to use your blowgun. Is that
Yes.
sound right? So why don't you make a roll? Is this your human side or your animal side?
Is this, let me see, is this instinct, sensation, or wisdom and intelligence? I think it is probably instinct. So yeah, my animal side.
Okay. And I'm going to say, and then ask you, it doesn't look like any of your tags apply.
Nope.
But which attribute are you using?
Probably, I can see passion, although there's no passionate hatred for pandas as of yet. Think it would be cunning, I guess.
I personally have a passionate hatred for pandas, but weird situation. Okay, go for it. So you're gonna roll with cunning, which is a 1. I'm sorry, -1.
-1. So 2d6 -1. Roll the dice. Another. What is it? It's a 4.
Yes. So you don't get any hold to spend. But I'm going to say when the pandas pushed the robot away, they pushed it close to you. So now you, the smoking robot, or kind of the robot that's dying or about to explode, adjacent to you. And now, Quinn, what are you going to do? You are trying to hide in all of this, right?
Yeah. Now that I'm kind of hiding on the floor, I'm seeing that everybody's fighting back. I'm going to pull out my needler and try to fire at the threatening, horrible creatures of death.
Yeah, the death pandas. Human side or animal
side? Human side. I think he's going to rely on his training. Okay. And squeeze off rounds from his needler.
Okay, great. So, and what attribute are you using?
I think awareness. I think he's looking for now that he's confident that he can't be seen, he's trying to look at the right place to shoot him.
Okay, good.
All right. So I will give this a shot. And because he's unseen, does that give him an extra die?
Sure. Your camouflage tag applies here. That works fine.
Well, that's not right. Let's see. 3D.
You roll 3d6 and add 2, I think.
Yeah, let's see. So do I need to add a space there or something? That's 2. Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay, why is that not working?
I can roll for you if you like.
There we go. 10.
So actually you're picking the top two, so that's 3.
Ah, okay.
3 plus 3 is 6. Plus
Plus
your
2 is 8.
8. Okay. And you're rolling human side. So you get 3 hold
Okay.
to spend on the combat, but there will be a complication or a cost. Now
Okay.
you've got the edge, or because Pajax created the edge for you, so you can incapacitate one of these pandas, or you can trade harm and then spend the hold as you see fit.
I might as well incapacitate one of the pandas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, that only costs 1 hold. I didn't add a cost to that. So let's say that costs 2 hold to use your edge to incapacitate one of the pandas, which gives you another hold to spend.
And what can I use that hold for?
Any of those things on the engage in combat menu. So
Right.
you can cause additional harm, you can avoid harm, you can avoid marking a use on your weapon.
What I want to do is I want to cause additional harm by having the first panda fall back on the second panda.
Okay, all right.
So
Yeah, I like that. But you do take harm, or you can mark your armor to avoid taking harm.
I will mark my armor.
And actually, Will, you probably could have done the same thing with your plastic armor.
Okay, I thought I read in the rules that it says, oh, you may make a mark. If using armor, you can have it without, you spend a hold to have it without marking use, I see.
Yeah.
Like, so there's 2 ways of using armor.
Right.
Cool, I will do that. I'll mark my armor.
Cool. Yeah, so one panda is down. The other panda has, you wanted the one to fall on top of the other?
Yeah, the idea is, I got the first one and he kind of fell back on the second one.
Okay. I think we're getting close to the end of time. So I'm thinking maybe Jobs makes an appearance here. And Jobs kind of enters the reception area. We haven't made it past reception. It's fairly typical in Microsoft offices. And Jobs says, I see you've made it this far, but alas, the technology is mine, and you will never get it, you bureaucrats.
What's want your car?
Nick Quinn, what do you say?
I just go, no.
Drist?
Drist says, well, of course not. We want to destroy it, right?
No.
And Jobs then pulls out his sword, and I guess he's closest maybe to Drist, since Drist you hung back. So he's now approaching you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style with his sword drawn, and he's starting to raise it to come down on you. I don't know what he's expecting to do with a fungus, but that's what he's doing.
I have one bookkeeping question because my internet went out for a second.
Okay.
What was the fallout of the last? What was the fallout of the 4? Did I have to mark harm or anything?
No, it's just that the robot is right there now.
Oh, okay, cool.
On the verge of exploding.
Mm-hmm. And where's the robot in relation to me and Jobs?
I'm picturing it with you and the robot are right next to each other, and Jobs is walking towards you.
So obviously I will kick the robot because it's on wheels towards Jobs.
All right, I think this would be interesting to do a roll on just to see what the dice tell us. So are you using your human side or animal side?
Yeah, that was an instinctive move, using technology to bring him down.
Yep.
Let's see look at the tags. I don't think so. No. And what?
So you'll roll 2 dice, and which attribute are you going to use?
I think this is passion again.
Alrighty.
So 2d6. Modifier is +2. Let's go. This is a 9.
Nice. Yeah, so I think you kick the robot towards Jobs, and he doesn't. He just sort of swats it out of the way with his sword, but as he's coming at it with his sword, it explodes. So I think he is now thrown back. I think the cost to you is that you are going to take some damage. So you need to mark an attribute or a tag. Niquin, what are you doing when all of this is going down?
At this point, I'm trying to look to see if he has the technology on him.
Would that make for a good ending? Do you feel like? I'm okay with? It seems weird that he would be carrying it around with him, but maybe he is.
Well, if he isn't, then I'm going to use this opportunity to sneak by.
Okay, you're gonna make a break.
Yep.
For it. Okay. I would also like you to make a roll and see if maybe the panda recovers. So, are you using your human side or animal side?
At this point, I think it's probably the animal side, because he's probably just digging deep and making a break for it as best he can.
Okay.
So
does camouflage apply again?
I would think, because he's still got it on him.
Okay.
And he's using his animal cunning in this case to kind of just dash by and hopefully get there before the door closes too.
Nice.
A 7. That's not great.
It's not terrible. Yeah, so you dash by. I think you avoid the explosion, but the panda sees you.
And I would throw out that the panda slows me down, and now my tail is stuck in the door.
Okay. Your tail is stuck in the door, but you are in Jobs' workspace, and you can see the tech in front of you. Pajax, what are you doing when all of this is going down? We've got an exploding robot. We've got Niquin stuck in the door.
I try and steal the car keys that I see in Jobs' pocket, the big Tesla symbol on.
Does it use keys?
It's like a fob, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Which I think that he's got that kind of like a pendant, like a sort of like trinkets and charms of all old tech kind of like all around him. And I see the one that's that basically. And I just want this card, guys.
Yeah. You grab them. Are you making an exit? Are you gone? No. What are you doing now that you have the keys?
I will.
Jobs.
Pardon, sorry?
Are you dispatching Jobs?
I will take the keys and then I will dispatch that panda.
Okay.
So after thingy, I will. I think it's like he's like in melee with Drizzt, and Pajax like slides across the floor, snatching that off as he goes, and then firing the machine gun as he goes, slides towards the panda. That you can see like trying to grab at Niquin's tail as it pokes through the door.
Nice. Nice. How does the panda go down? What does that look like?
I think it, bullets ricochet off it around it, and it turns around and goes, and then just like bullet goes straight through the back of the mouth. And, yeah.
I prefer bamboo. Let's do maybe little. I don't know. How do we want to bring this thing to a close? What happens to Jobs? Any ideas for what we want to do to bring this thing to a close?
Well, what does Drizzt do with him? I think in the.
Yeah, Drizzt. What do you do with Jobs? On the floor.
Drizzt is sneaking away, looking sheepishly back at Pagex and Nikwin, and he's looking for the central air condition place to release all the psychedelia spores that they have.
Yeah. I think there's probably a register, that sort of sucks air in. There's a few of them all around the reception area. So if you just spore it up near those registers, you'll be fine. You'll do what you need to do. Then
let's spore them.
I'm also picturing you, because your spores kind of make people suspicious of technology. Maybe you spore like you give him a big dose of it.
Yeah. En passant, while passing, he gets
right.
He gets an extra dose.
Yeah. How does he react now that you've spored him? What is that? What is a mutant turtle who used to love technology and has been spored? What do they do
now? We don't know what he will do in the future, but I picture him like blinking and staring in front of him, like reconsidering his life choices.
He's just sitting there. Maybe he's like pulling different devices out of his pockets,
getting rid of them. Yeah,
throwing them away. Like, cool. I don't need these. These are poisoning me. That kind of thing. Cool. Nikwin, you've been released from the panda. What do you do?
With the tail stuck in the door, I think he concentrates really hard, drops his tail like lizards do, and runs and makes and grabs the technology.
And what is it? What has he been coveting for so long? Is it something cool? Is it something mundane?
I think that it's something that he doesn't really know how to process. I think it's like some first generation iPods, the one that didn't even really have the screen on it.
Right.
So he's just kind of staring at it going, this is amazing. No, he has absolutely no idea what it's just a paperweight to him.
I'm definitely getting a promotion now.
Oh, absolutely. This is groundbreaking. This is changing. This is, I don't know.
And maybe it just has music. Maybe it has old podcasts on it.
Oh yeah.
Completely irrelevant.
It's just the complete works of Leo Laporte. like early technology podcast or early like PC podcasts.
Right. When we didn't know how bad it was going to get.
Oh yeah. Just like, you want to deal with your Pentium computer?
And of course you think it's a gold mine.
So. Oh, it is a gold mine.
Yeah. And Pagex, you've got the car.
I think like I knock on the door. I go like, "You're okay in there, Nikwin?" Then Nikwin's like, "Yes, it's so wonderful. It's brilliant." Like I shrug. Yes. Where did Drizzt go? And then I go outside, get in my car, my new hover car, and I'm imagining I'm waiting for my companions to get out so that we can drive. I'll give them a lift to wherever before the big race. But I'm imagining this whole thing just filling with spores as the car drives away, like a big cloud of it, just going for all of it. As maybe even Nikwin's like, and there was so much more tech there that the bureaucrats might be interested in.
If you can destroy the rest, just leave me have these.
And scene. Lovely. That was great, friends. In lieu of a break, why don't we just chat for 10 minutes or so? Would that be okay with you all? Cool. I had a super good time. Thank you all for going on this journey with me, because new game, didn't know how it was going to play. If we want to do stars and wishes, that would be a big help. From a wish perspective, obviously we don't have anything scheduled, but if you were to play this again, or if you wanted to do something differently, what would you do? So we can talk about that. So Horst, can I start with you on stars and wishes?
So stars to all my compatriots. For Dan to going with go with the punches. Is that a phrase? No.
Yep.
Rolling with the punches. So whatever crazy idea we came up with was all cool with you. Definitely, I like the trio that we have. My wish would be to have another adventure with these three fools. Yeah, that's my stars and wishes. I think I enjoyed myself tremendously. It was a wise decision to jump in, and I hope to see you three beautiful people again in the game.
Horace, I'm so glad you jumped in. It really, you've got such great ideas. Is there anything that you felt like didn't quite work about the game? Anything that you felt was maybe a little clumsy or didn't help move the narrative forward?
Mechanically, did I hear it right that Will could have marked an attribute that was negative? That
He did mark an attribute that was negative, yeah.
So doesn't really seem like a big disadvantage to me.
Right. Yeah,
Maybe
that's good feedback. Yeah, the intent there is, I mean, if you keep taking damage or keep hitting bad rolls, you're going to keep having to mark. So yeah, you can mark your negatives pretty early, but at some point, there's only 4 attributes. You're going to have to start marking.
Yeah.
So, that's great. Philip, what do you got?
Sure. I very much like the system. I think it was very evocative. Part of the way that I kind of looked at it is it was almost like a post-apocalyptic Root in a lot of ways,
yeah.
which is cool because I like that system. Just kind of want to throw out an idea for you because you only have you only have 4 attributes. One of the things that I like from Burn Bright is it kind of encourages you to use your negative stuff, especially for games like if you use if you were to use all 4 of them during the course of the game, like you get a power up on your ability or something like that. So instead of using your positives, you're like, well, I'm going to use my negative here, or I'm going to use my because you get something out of it at the end.
That's a great idea.
So so like you get your power up or something. But just tossing that out there.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. This is taken almost directly from Hearts of Wulin or even Brindlewood Bay, where it's the player decides which attribute they want to use. And what works nicely in those systems is that the characters themselves are so evocative that you sort of end up wanting to lean into how they would approach it. And that was my hope here. But I like the idea of maybe mechanically encouraging people to tap into their negatives as well.
Yeah, I think for Burn Bright, if you use, because you have like a D4 skill, D6, D8, D10, and D12, and if you use one of each of them, then you get like your Nova ability. So the idea is, it kind of triggers you to use all your lesser skills to get your better skill.
Nice. Yeah. That's an interesting idea. And of course, it's not like any of you have stopped mutating, right? So the mutations keep coming. Cool. Thank you for that, Philip. And Will, what do you got?
All the stuff that was said. I did enjoy that the Quinn was always just mostly like hiding and looking what you fool's doing, and then speaking from out of nowhere suddenly. And I love Dred's absolutely cultish obsession with destroying it and just using that confuse people ability like constantly for. And Dan for all the madness and rolling with it and the suggestions and everything. I really enjoyed. I'm glad that you mentioned at the start about like tying things back to the modern world, because that wasn't originally anything I was going to go with. But after you said it, I was like, oh no, everything now has to be puns about like the real world. I really love about the system. The weird characters that you make, the way the tag invokes seem to work really well. Wishes wise, like for a game, I guess over a few sessions it would be you do some social stuff, you might deal with those factions and things like that. I'm not sure how that might work, but you know, it's a one-page RPG, right? So, but in terms of like feedback on the actual like system, I think combat's a little overcomplicated for the rest of it, maybe, because a lot to like break down and read, and I'm still, you know, it doesn't I don't quite grok it, you know, like all of them. And I'm like, well, if I just use the edge twice, and then I'm done, right? Like, and it's hard to sort of define what the potential harm might be in like the weird mutant apocalypse world kind of stuff,
Yes.
you know. And about the stats thing, I don't think that the ticking off the stats works. I think ticking off the tags is a great idea, but ticking off the stats is like gives you loads already. Like you've got 8 ticks, and then you've got armor and stuff as well. And you know the whole. And I'm wondering about the stats thing where you use, you know, like you say what you're going to roll with, right? Like which of your stats. And I know that's in like Brindlewood, but I'm not sure if it's a fit with like the Gamma Worldy type setting, right? Because and I think that's a lot about what we bring to our expectations of this kind of game, where it's kind of like it's Gamma World, so we're going to raid lost technology, do mad gonzo stuff, right? So like you're not in those kind of like character driven, like what would you do sort of thing. You're more like, well, I'd do the craziest, maddest thing possible, right? Or whatever. I mean, I do think obviously, you know, patience, it would depend on the context, right? But because it's PBTA, it's more like you set the context and the framing as well as, you know what I mean? Like there's a bit more like narrative fluidity to it.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. I did have a hell of a lot of fun though. You know?
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Yeah. Stars to you all just for signing up. Honestly, I just, you know, I know it's always a crapshoot when you're signing up for an untested game. So it really means a lot to me that you did, and that you all brought your A game. It was just so much fun to see these characters develop. I appreciated everyone wanting to push on the boundaries of the system as well. So that was great. Stars, I'm going to take a lot of this feedback and maybe revise this game. So it started out as just a little love letter, and it may turn into something more. So, friends, that was super fun. Are you all okay with me posting the recording? Will, I got some of you complaining about work.
I don't care.
You sure?
Yeah, it's fine. No one from work's going to watch it. No one's going to do it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
All right.
All I'm doing is, you know, none of the people who I'm complaining about are going to ever pay any attention to this whatsoever.
I can also, I think it's, I will pull it out because I think it's an easy enough clip.
Right before the end of a break, I guess.
Right,
but,
exactly.
Yeah. But it's really not an issue because also I'm just generally moaning about the fact that it's been very, very quiet. And then suddenly it was like, today was like,
everything.
Yeah.
All right, friends, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. And I hope you all have a good Gauntlet.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good one. See you guys.
See you guys.